cemeteries, a space Hollywood and scary stories tend to make even scarier. Growing up, I myself feared cemeteries, especially at 3 a.m. But recently, after another investigation with Lana, my friend and evidential medium, we spontaneously found ourselves at a cemetery to share the truth behind them. Even though Sarah was getting eaten alive by mosquitoes while spontaneously filming us.
No, I'm trying to get mosquitoes off me and I kept dropping the camera.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry.
What?
I'm getting chewed, so keep getting sloppy here.
And somehow our footage got corrupted to some sort of pixelated thing. I still wanted to share what we filmed because I feel it's important to share the real and the raw. So here you go. The truth about cemeteries.
Cemeteries are a very interesting place, and every cemetery feels very different too, right? And there's a lot about cemeteries that can kind of either leave us feeling unsettled. They're also a place where we go and honor people.
Right.
And dead people have their own interesting take on cemeteries. It's kind of fascinates me when I've had these conversations with Spirit on what they think and about their thoughts, and are they really there?
And you know what, for me personally, ever since I went to Connecticut and I met with the Warrens family, I learned a little bit about how Ed Warren viewed cemeteries as more of a space that things are typically conjured up, in the sense that people will go to cemeteries to play with Ouija boards or to connect with the other side, but then also a space where when you go to visit your loved one, they're there because you're there honoring them. So I'm curious with you, are cemeteries as notoriously haunted as they've been made to be, like with Hollywood and with the scary stories, or is it more so just that your loved ones are there when you're there and honoring them?
It's really interesting because there is a lot of energy in cemeteries, and quite a bit of what I pick up in cemeteries is from living people.
Right.
The sadness, the honoring, their grief, they come to communicate with their loved ones here. And dead people always say to me, they know I'm not really there, right? Like my final resting place for my physical body may have been put there, but I'm not like there. And I love the story where I had a spirit say to me, I love my wife so much, and she goes to the cemetery on a regular basis, and she waits till she gets there to talk to me. But what she needs to know, please let her know that when she's getting ready, I'm in the house watching her. And when she gets in the car, I'm in the car in the passenger seat, buckled in, driving to the cemetery with her. I get out, we walk to my tombstone, and she talks to the stone, and I'm right there with her all the time. It's a space for her to go and have that connection, a space for us living people to still have that tangible, because us living people are very tangible. We like to see and touch rather than have that tap into that knowing and that feeling of what we can't see.
And you know what? I think it makes it easier for people, like you're saying, to associate a space where their loved one is. It's not always as easy to say that they're with you all the time, because for those who don't know what you know and haven't experienced what you have, it almost feels as though this is where they are, so this is where they should be. And it is interesting to say, yes, there's a space to honor somebody, but they're also always with you.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so interesting. So I guess one of my biggest questions, right off the bat with you, is when you as a medium walk into a cemetery, do you automatically feel like there are hundreds of spirits here, or is it a little more vacant than people may think?
It's a little more vacant. I feel a little more vacant. However, I love to go to very old cemeteries and even newer stones, and I'll often call forward a spirit. So I'll say, "Oh, how did you pass? Can you tell me a bit about yourself?" Then they come forward from the spirit dimensions. They don't come forward from the cemetery itself. Right. So is that spirit activity? Yeah, I think that's spirit activity, but they're not always connected to this cemetery specifically. Dead people love to be honored.
Right.
They love to be honored and to be remembered and to have people reflecting good times.
Right.
They want us to go there. They want us in that space of remember when. And if that means talking to them in a cemetery, then they're okay with it.
So a question that I have then is, sitting here right now in this cemetery, are there any souls around here that have a story that they would want to share with those who may be watching?
I'm picking up and time is really, if sometimes time can be really iffy in the spirit world, but I pick up the passing of a young child with cancer, and I'm over here this way.
Right.
Like I'm right around here. I'm feeling that I left right around the age of 3 years old-ish.
Wow, yeah.
With a cancer that was found late.
Right.
I also feel like it was misdiagnosed.
Right.
And that little soul is very much waving, big chubby cheeks, very much waving at me that I'm okay on the other side. Spirit, and one of the biggest questions I get from my clients is, are they okay?
Right.
And Spirit always comes through, yeah, I made it over.
Yeah.
Right, I'm here. And I think, that's one of the great things that I think a lot of people need to know is that when we pass, they go, they usually go over, and they're usually surrounded by that love and light.
Absolutely. And I think that's difficult for someone to understand too, is a 3-year-old passing. And for those of you who are on my channel who haven't seen a lot of Lana's videos, she does touch on the little souls taken too soon and what that looks like in the spirit dimension. So I won't go too much into that. But being here in that space, is it more so that the child's energy is attached to where they passed, but like you mentioned, they're with their loved ones every single day and showing them that they're okay?
Yes, and don't forget, quite often with spirit, with me, I see them everywhere I go. And literally it's because I have this lighthouse that connects to the spirit dimensions, and they're like, well, there's Lana, we can chat, we can talk to her, we can show herself, she'll see us. She doesn't necessarily attach to the cemetery, she's just showing herself to me that, yes, I'm here, this was my story, and you can see me, so I'm going to appear. Spirit does that to me a lot, and they do like to try and distract me.
Right. That's so fascinating. And I guess, like, when it comes to cemeteries, for me, as I said before, there's so many people who associate it with this fear and with all of this, but like you said, there's so much love and there's so much mourning and there's so much to be appreciated in a space like this, because even looking around, it's very humbling to recognize how brief life is and how we are here, we're spiritual beings having an earthly experience, and it can be taken like that for us.
Yeah. And our journey here, one thing that we're guaranteed, when we arrive, it's a guarantee that we're leaving.
Yeah.
It's just like when, right? When, how long are we here? And it's about, living life, to your fullest and living your best life and doing what makes you happy.
What would you say to somebody who's recently lost somebody and frequently feels the need, like you were touching on earlier, to go to a cemetery to honor them and kind of holds a guilt? There's someone in particular that I follow who I noticed that if there's a day where she misses going to the cemetery, she holds immense guilt over herself. And I know you were saying earlier how the man says, I'm with you at all times. What would Spirit want someone to know that is in a space where they're frequenting a cemetery?
I think that they need to really feel that the spirit is everywhere.
Yeah.
That they're not just at the grave. They can talk with them and have that communication with them anywhere they go. So if they miss a day at the graveyard, talk to them in the car.
Right.
If you didn't get there this week, talk to them at night under the moon. If you didn't get there, know that they're everywhere. They're not just in that place. We go to that place to kind of, again, to connect us to a space, to connect us to a tangible
physical
thing. Talk to their picture. Spirit loves it when we speak with them. And that's one thing Spirit says all the time. I'm not gone, I'm not gone, I'm not gone. Talk to me.
Absolutely.
Just, even if you don't, because people say, oh, I'm not getting any spirit signs. Nobody did ever comes to visit me. And I'm like, just talk to them and allow it. And, and the more you kind of tap into that, the magic does start to come.
And that's something that I've learned even with you and with my Grams passing is, how many times have I wrote you and been like, does my Grams know this? And you always say to me like, Hailey, you can talk to her yourself. You can tell her yourself. And I think we often forget, like, they're always listening.
100%. And I teach my clients that, especially, a lot of people like to come to me on a regular basis. And, I have a lot of integrity in what I do. And I always say 6 months to a year, unless you have something changing in your life that you want to talk to me. Because you can connect with your own people that have passed.
Yeah.
You don't need a medium to talk to them. Yes, a medium helps to get some channeled information, but you yourself can start a new relationship with them in the spirit world.
Yeah.
It's different, 100%. I get it. It's not the same as the physical world, and us humans always say that, but they're not here. And dead people say, yes, we are. And
no, you hear all sides of the argument.
It's like back and forth. And dead people say, we are here. You need to learn to have a new relationship with us.
Absolutely.
Talking to us, sharing with us, because we're seeing everything, right? Lean in just a little bit to that.
Something that I would love to know from your standpoint as a medium is, with my channel, I've explored a lot of people's paranormal experiences and hauntings and whatnot. And something that I've seen a lot with cemeteries is that people believe this space is a whole new space at 3 a.m. Now, we've never talked about this in particular with the whole hour that the veil is supposed the thinnest. Have you had an experience like that where you...
I know, yeah. They call it the thinnest veil between 2 and 4 a.m.
Right, okay.
So, is there more spirit activity? 100% there is. The reason number one, the reason is especially for sleeping, our minds are quiet. Spirit has a better chance of coming in and talk to us. That's why spirit visits a lot at night.
Right.
The other thing is we're open. Oh, it's between 2 and 4. Apparently, it's the thinnest veil. We're going to connect. So you crack open and become your own medium. You become connected to the spirit dimensions.
That makes a lot of sense.
And it has to do more with the whole sleeping and quieting the mind, because when I connect to dead people, it's like there's nothing going on in my head other than the connection. I'm not thinking about dinner, I'm not thinking about driving, I'm able to quiet my mind, hop in that dimension, have a chit chat, or they come to me, one or the other, depending on how we're working that day. But with the thinnest veil, it's because we set the intention, spirit's coming between 2 and 4 a.m. Now's a good time, because you opened. You open. So it's not that they're busier, it's that we tend to have that space where it's quiet.
And less distractions.
That
makes actually a lot of sense. I've never quite looked at it that way. For me, more so, I just assume that that's a time where the veil is the thinnest and you're able to connect more. But you're right, it is typically a time that you may be sleeping or the rest of the world is quiet.
The energy is different.
Yeah.
Because it's all energy. With dead people and spirit, it's energy and vibration. That's how this works. It's mediumship 101, it's energy and vibration.
Right.
So with energy and vibration, it's calmer and quieter. So because spirit doesn't know time, it doesn't exist there.
Right.
And they can transition from physical world to spiritual world very, very quickly. They don't need an opening or a gateway. They just need somebody open to communicate with them. That's why with mediums they're able to connect with them, because it's so open. My radar is always on, like the lighthouse is always going. So that's why live readings happen in public places. I can't go to the mall or out for dinner because it's like
and I think that's also why with me at the time of month, because this is a little bit off topic but it relates to this. With, you know how when I first met you, I told you that I thought my house was haunted, but I felt like there's something in the area that frequently comes around, and it always picks back up in October because I'm out doing these things and I'm open to it. Like you're saying, I'm just thinking it's almost as though because I'm doing it 10 times more, I'm attracting that type of energy to my home.
100%. And that's the thing that's great with Halloween. People say, Halloween's very spooky and very haunted. We open up because we associate Halloween with spirit.
Right.
So all of a sudden, we're more aware, the spirit activity at Halloween, it's Halloween. Nope, it's October, but you're open to it now, where maybe the rest of the 11 months, you don't give it a second thought, or you're a little more closed about it, or you're just going about life. Right?
If we could see through your eyes, what does a space like this look like?
If I call forward spirits, I see a lot of love and light around each stone. I've got my spiritual eyes and my physical world eyes. So if I just look around the cemetery with my physical eyes, I see what everybody else sees.
Right.
When I ask for my spiritual lenses to click in.
So neat. This is so cool. Like, what?
Because then I see so much love and light and experiences and light, and I see, like over there, I see someone that's in a military outfit, and over there, I see a pair of grandparents dancing, and if I call them forward and change my lenses, but I see so much light. It's bright and it's brilliant and it's loving and it's cheering us living people on.
Would you say that this particular cemetery, to those who may not understand or interpret the spirit dimension like you do, would they feel as though this is a haunted space, or would this be a relatively low activity space? Unless, like you said, you turn your own lenses on.
I feel it's a very low. I don't feel any hauntings. I don't feel any negativity. I don't feel anything heavy here, and I don't in most cemeteries. I was in a cemetery in New Orleans.
Right.
100% haunted. There were spirits there that were lingering in that area for so many different reasons and were causing some shenanigans. But I think a lot of it had to do with the people that were hanging out in those cemeteries too.
Right. So it's almost like they're conjuring it.
They're conjuring it.
Interesting. That was my number one question going into this is, when it comes to people who mess around in cemeteries like this, is it possible for them to bring in like low vibrational energies to
100%.
these spaces?
100%. You and I have had conversations about working in the light before.
Yes.
Are there lower vibrations? 100% there's lower vibrations. Do you have to know what you're doing when you work in the spirit dimensions? Absolutely. Can you call forward things that are darker of nature? 100%. I work only in light. I'm surrounded by it. I've got a pretty powerful spirit council and spirit team that keeps me protected from that vibration. So I don't vibe in that. I don't,
Right.
I have so much protection that, but as it exists, yeah, you can call in lower vibrations 100%.
You just don't dance in that vibration.
I just don't dance there. I can't dance anyway, but I don't dance there.
Me either. Oh my gosh, me either. What are some questions that people have frequently asked you about cemeteries that you would want to address in a video like this and share?
I think you nailed one of the big ones is there more ghosts or spirit activity or evil at night? That is the biggest one. And do they come up through the ground? I get that one a lot.
Yeah.
Do spirit come back up through the ground? And I say, no, they don't come up through the ground. They come down. They come down.
You know what?
Or
That's so interesting to
over.
think that way.
Yeah, I
never
had that
thought
a lot.
of it like that.
I've had that a lot. Interestingly enough, but you know what does get some spirit activity, Hailey? Are pet cemeteries.
Ooh, we should go to a pet cemetery.
Yeah.
That would be neat.
Animals do have souls, and I very firmly stand in that. Number one, in past life regressions, I have human people regress, and in a past life, they were an animal. I have also had these conversations with spirits. Souls come down for different experiences, and sometimes we're an animal, and sometimes we're human, and sometimes, there's other dimensions besides this one too. Sometimes
Fascinating. We need to do a whole video on that.
There are other dimensions besides this physical world, so you may have had an experience where you weren't even human.
Neat.
And I know some people struggle with that, but open mind, open heart. Why would this be the only place?
So true. Well, I feel like you answered all of my questions to do with the cemetery. For any of you who may have any other questions, comment them down below, because we could always do another part to this and answer some of your questions that we may not have thought of. But thank you so much for shedding light, especially for myself, on what cemeteries truly mean. There's a few cemeteries that we'd love to take you to soon, because we've had some experiences there, and it'd be really neat to see you share the spirit story that truly is there. But it's definitely interesting, and I'm viewing cemeteries in a whole new light now.
This was great.
Thank you. This is so much fun. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you head on over to Lana's channel, or if you're on Lana's channel when you're watching this video, click that subscribe button, and make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, and we will see you guys in a video very soon. Bye guys.